To go. Craig McDonald's got to get by this 116. Danny Chisholm trying to get by Dylan Dow, and he's stuck in behind the lap traffic. White flag for the 98 of Craig McDonald as Chisholm takes 2 for 1 on the pass, but it's all behind the 98. He has lost this race every single way you can, and Craig McDonald is finally going to cash in. He wins on Speed Weekend. He's out of the car. You can hear you now, Craig McDonald. We've been waiting a few years for this. Finally.
Oh, it feels like it's been a lifetime. Damn. Whew, this has been a long one coming. Right now, I'm kind of wondering if I'm dreaming right now. I know I've dreamt this about 100 times over the last 8 years.
Whew. Going through lap traffic, not only having to pick your way through that traffic, which has given some people problems tonight, you had to hold off Danny Chisholm. Could you script it any better?
Nah. Only way I could script it better is if the one person I won this for the most was still here, and that would have been my dad. I lost 9 years ago this weekend. I'm not much of an emotional guy, but damn. I've been wanting to win this one for a long time. I fell in love with this weekend when I first came here when I was probably 10. And then when I was 15 and I lost him on this weekend, it kind of put a dark cloud over it. And I've been trying to win it ever since. And, the joke in the CHR group's been ever since. I've lost it every way possible. Sooner or later, I got to win it. And damn, I finally won the damn thing.
And we get to come back.
Welcome into Tim's Corner Live. This is episode number 33. Excited to be here, boys. I just got back home about 20 minutes ago from eastbound, from Newfoundland, Chance Cove, all that other great places. I know you guys were at the Mike Stevens Memorial. It's been a busy weekend for you guys. How was it up in Petty?
I just had to ask Tim, what are you at?
What are you at? Right? What are you at? Where are you to? Yeah.
Hey,
much.
well, Denver and I were at Petty for the Mike Stevens Memorial, and what a show! I mean, we're going to talk legends with Craig McDonald later on about their race, the 50-lap race, but we had a spectacular vintage car race, a great sportsman race, and Denver, it may have been the best pro stock race we've had in years in the Maritimes. Craig Slomwhite, his fourth big win of 2021, his first Mike Stevens Memorial title.
Yes, that was absolutely insane, Dylan. I've been saying I think it was probably the best late model race I've seen since the Oxford 250 in 2016. That's 5 years ago. So what a phenomenal show. You saw Corey Hall leading up front early on in the race, and then you had Craig Slomwhite make his way to the front, and then staying on the track when everyone else pitted. You had the strategy, the hard chargers coming through the field. There was that threat of weather, which we thankfully never got, but that added the element of some drivers trying to play the rain game and hoping that, we get that caution and we don't get restarted and that they're out front at that time. So all around, a phenomenal Mike Stevens Memorial 200. If you were not there, you missed out. And honestly, the whole weekend was phenomenal. Like you said, Matt Rogers goes to victory lane in the Sportsman race. How about that? Phenomenal vintage racing. The Maritime League of Legends Tour, one of our guests coming up, went to victory lane in that race, and the Legends had a doubleheader. It was Owen Marr going to victory lane Friday night along with Braxton Stafford and modifieds, Logan Power. Lots of great racing. We had 30 pro stocks. We haven't seen 30 pro stocks since the COVID-19 pandemic hit. So it was a special weekend to say the least.
And that race, Tim, sorry to interrupt, featured Cole Butcher wrecking on lap number 1, which, how many times can you say that? That was a very topsy-turvy event, and that leads us into the Atlantic Oliver 200 coming up this weekend, and that will be a large race, which we're going to dive into later, right, Tim?
Yeah, absolutely. Entry list just came out this afternoon, 19 cars in that entry list. John Fleming is back. 2 Nova cars in the list. Marty Prevost is going to be there. Obviously, Craig Slomwhite and Cole Butcher is the battle for the championship. We're going to see some really close racing coming up here in the next coming days with the Atlantic Oliver Tire 200 and, of course, the CarStar Weekly Racing Series on Friday evening. Car counts in Halifax, phenomenal. 18 Legend cars, 17 Sportsman cars, 21 mini stocks. It was a great show on Friday night. You can go back and watch that on Tim's Corner TV. And, of course, want to thank everybody from Eastbound. Want to thank Trudy and Ross Thorne and Olivia for giving me a race car to drive around in, quote unquote, in the last couple of days. Eastbound treated me really well. We put $3,800, by the way, in the purse through lap boards as well. So added some value in there, but we're going to see. So our first guest is having some audio issues trying to connect to the call. So I don't see Randy McCoy's audio unmuted. So we might have a little bit of a say here a little bit early in this one. So while we get his audio tried to fix, and you boys, you know how technology works. We're live and interactive. Oh. By the way, Brandon Campbell, we also learned technology tonight. Brandon Campbell was being a little saucy tonight before we started, and I put up with saucy all weekend long, or the last couple of days with somebody. So he got kicked from the call, and apparently we can't add him back. So up top, it says social media is run by Brandon Campbell tonight. Social media is run by Brandon Campbell, but he is not technically on our call here this evening. So if you're out there, drop us a question, drop us a comment. We're going to shoot the breeze a little bit here this evening and talk a little bit racing. But before we get into the League of Legends Tour, before we get into the East Coast Mini Stock Tour race coming up as well, the CarStar Weekly Racing Series, we'll talk a little racing with Dylan McMillan, Craig McDonald coming up. I don't see Randy's. I know they're trying to work on the audio, but Denver, it's a race that you have been at the last couple of years, the Ricky Bobby 150, and I know the entries are still pouring in. I think we got 4 cars coming from PEI at least coming over to that show. So what are you most looking forward to when it comes to the Ricky Bobby race this weekend?
Well, Tim, I don't know if I will actually be at the Ricky Bobby race. Ooh. And that's a hard one to say because it's one of those weekends I wish I could be in 2 places at once, because that is one of my favorite races of the year. And that event has grown tremendously into, it is the top street stock race in Atlantic Canada right now. You get the best of the best. You get 30-some cars. The last 2 years have been phenomenal. I think back to, the 2019 running. It was Drew Greenlaw driving for Michael Cormier and Courtney Barton driving for Tom Nichols. Last lap heroics, one of the best finishes I've ever seen. Last year, Michael Cormier and Wayne Smith battled all race long. It was a war of attrition. It's a phenomenal race. Street stocks always put on a show no matter where you go. And, we got back-to-back big street stock races coming up with the very best fall shootout to follow. So, but it really gets kicked off this weekend with the Ricky Bobby. It's hard on these street stock cars to run big races in the middle of the summer in the heat. The cars aren't, they don't fare as well in the high heat conditions. So when you get into the fall, it cools down, the horsepower comes out and these drivers shine and put on one hell of a show.
Yeah, absolutely they do. And we've seen some great street stock racing at 660 already this season. You look back to Speed Weekend, Dylan, you got to call that race. There was a few cautions in that race, but the action and the excitement in the DMR Auto Street Stock division is really second to none when it comes to street stock racing around Atlantic Canada, at least on a weekly basis.
Yeah, it was pretty rough and tumble at that race, and it was pretty cool to call while you were eating turkey.
By the way, thank you to Randy and the boys for that.
That's right. We had to get the sponsor plug in there. So DMR, they were gracious enough to give us some food, and you took a breather. Well, not a breather. You inhaled food. We'll call it that way.
I had a few cautions to help me. Thank you very much.
That's true. But that was such a fun race in Denver. You said it, as we get cooler temperatures, I mean, these street stocks will just flourish. And the end of September and October, it is big because we have the Ricky Bobby coming up this weekend, then the very best fall shootout, and then Shediac with their Atlantic Championship weekend has a pretty big street stock race. So 3 very different tracks back to back to back, but this will be the first big event coming up here. And we can't forget about the races that we had at Petty, and then 660 was Speed Weekend. Looking forward to it. And again, boys, this is just another weekend with a lot of racing, where we didn't have that at the beginning of typical race season in May and June, but we've got 660 in the books coming up here with the Ricky Bobby. We've got weekly racing series at Scotia, Pro Stock Tour racing with the Maritime League of Legends and the East Coast Mini Stock Tour on Saturday. And if the weather holds up, because Sunday's not looking incredible right now, Valley Raceway's got its 3rd race of the year coming up on the dirt. So there's a whole lot there, race fans. If you still want to get a couple of races under your belt here in 2021, you got plenty of options in 2 different provinces.
So, Denver, we'll talk about the Ricky Bobby race. I don't know, Randy, do you got us yet? Nope. We love technology when it works. It's one of those things that we love technology when it works. But for at least Islanders and Colin Brewer has mentioned that Matt Ford is making his debut in the street stock and at 660 at least. And you got Matt Ford, you got Randy Miller, you got Jeff McGinnis, who announced this week that he's coming to the race, and you got Mitchell Arsenault. Mitchell Arsenault's had help from Luke McLaughlin to get that car a little bit quicker. So Denver, out of the 4 Islanders, that's 4 really stout race cars. And we don't know if there's anybody else making the haul over, and there could very well be, but we don't see it on the pre-registrations that we've been provided by 660. Out of those 4, who do you see as somebody that could win this Ricky Bobby race?
Okay, so I was the only one that was there last year, and let me tell you, Mitchell Arsenault put on a show, an absolute show. At the start of the race, they came up and said they offered a pole challenge, and they offered it to about the top 6 cars. Everyone passed up on it. You had Justin Cole pass up on it. You had Michael Cormier pass up on it. Brad McLean passed on it. Wayne Smith passed on it. Brandon Albert passed on it. Chris Wilson passed on it. They got to Mitchell Arsenault, and he said, well, I didn't come all the way across this bridge for nothing. Maybe I'll make a little bit of money to pay the toll. Let's go to the back. And he started 31st on the 31-car field, and he drove up to, at one point, 2nd place. So talk about a driver who I have my eye on. It's Mitchell Arsenault, because he proved last year at Speedway 660 that, he's got that track figured out. He's got great people helping him now too. And, he put on a show last year. He's one of those drivers that always puts on a show. Now, I wouldn't doubt you will see him going to the front again this weekend.
Jeff McGinnis says, looking forward to getting to the Gary Woods for the first time. And I think Jeff will really excel there. Jeff, a couple of years ago, Denver, you can attest this, was one of those traveling street stocks. He did some racing in Sydney, did some racing in Miramichi. He's done races at Petty International Raceway. Obviously, Oyster Bend Speedway is his home racetrack. I think when you look at a scouting report of the 29, it's the first time that he's been to Geary. I don't think it's going to be his last, because everybody that comes to this Ricky Bobby 150 presented by DMR Auto, with all the money and the prestige and what have you that is on the line in this race. I don't think it's going to be his last trip. Same deal with Randy Miller. Really looking forward to Randy being a part of that show as well. But I guess the next question is, and we'll start with Dylan. Does Michael Cormier repeat in this race? Do we have a new winner? Who do you have your eye on? Riley Goodwin's going to win the championship when he rolls through Tech, because he's going to start that race. It's a show points race, so he'll win the championship for the DMR Auto Street Stocks this weekend. Who do you got on your radar?
Geez, is it the Shirtless Wonder or the Flying Frenchman? We got a couple of options there. I mean, those were two very strong cars at the 100-lap race we saw during Speed Weekend. But an extra 50 laps, I mean, that makes a huge difference in pro stock racing and sportsman racing. And you know it's going to make a big difference with a street stock race. The way the boys and girls running that race, too, I mean, how many cars could be even left by 150? Michael Cormier has been at the top of his game in that street stock. That number is 68. But, Riley's going to be a champion for a reason. That's a strong driver. And I'm sure Bob's going to be cheering him on and probably giving him some words of encouragement. And maybe Riley's riding high off that big win he got in Miramichi, right, Denver?
Absolutely. The Goodwin grudge match winner. And, these are, there's a bucket list that every driver has, and you know that a championship's on it. Riley Goodwin's about to check that championship off, and both the Ricky Bobby 150 and the Very Best Fall Shootout are also on that bucket list. So, maybe he could get a 2-for-1 on Saturday night and then carry some momentum up north the following week. But, like Tim said, Michael Cormier going to be tough to beat. It's kind of been an interesting season for Michael this year in the street stock car because, if you look back historically, 2018, 2019, 2020, he's been dominant at Petty Raceway, and he's really been unbeatable. He opened off the year here in 2021, winning the first feature, but hasn't won a feature at Petty, I don't think, since. Or if he has, he maybe won one along the way. Logan Power won on Friday night. Brad McLean's won. Evan Lane, Mike Weigel, all drivers who have beat Michael at Petty Raceway. But you look at Speedway 660 and the big races they've had, the Urquhart Construction Race, the Speed Weekend, D. Gillespie Trucking 100. Michael's dominated both of those races. He's had the fastest car, and you got to believe he'll carry that momentum into the Ricky Bobby 150. But if you look at Speed Weekend as a teaser for this race, Luke McLaughlin and Bill Story's car was fast. Everyone knows Luke knows his way around a street stock because before Michael Cormier was dominating, it was Luke McLaughlin who was dominating. So to see those two, I'm sure that was just chapter 1 at Speed Weekend. And I would say this weekend will be chapter 2. I haven't seen the list. I've heard rumblings that Luke will be running again. But if that is true, I'm sure we'll see chapter 2, and those two are going to be tough to beat, and it's going to be an amazing show.
Yeah, for those that are asking, we're still awaiting the full list to come from Speedway 660. The weekly guys, and Denver, you can attest to this from the demo guys in Miramichi. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can lead the local guys to the registration form, but you can't make it fill it out. So that's what we're kind of waiting on right now. We're waiting on a couple of those drivers to fill out that registration form. If you haven't yet, you know who you are. That's kind of what we're waiting on.
I have an idea.
What's that?
Well, the idea that we're doing in Miramichi is that if you register in advance, you get your name in a draw for 2 free, I got to say that T word, Hoosier tires that are so scarce to find right now. So we're hoping that when we launch registration, that those free tires, that kind of lures them in. Maybe Brett should, find some tires somewhere. I know there's not many left around, but, kind of give them that little bait.
They need something to get going, but we do know that I would say that entry list is probably going to push around 20. It's something that I was going to work on tonight, boys, but we're going a little long with Randy having some audio issues trying to get connected to the call, and we'll continue to shoot the breeze a little bit here until Craig McDonald comes on here at about 8:30, I believe, or so. Kenny Jr. is in the chat. Want to say hello to him, and I would love to see him up there with a street stock. He's not on the registration form, at least that I had when I was at the St. John's Airport a little bit earlier on this afternoon. So hope to see the 85 up there. Ty McCory asked, are we going to the Center for Speed? Am I going to the Center for Speed for the Atlantic Championships? The answer is I don't know yet. We are waiting for them to get back to me and figure some stuff out. But I had a flight book down south, and I don't think that's going to happen with the way that the testing and everything works with COVID, what have you. And I see Brandon Campbell is still in the chat. Brandon Campbell told me, boys, he was going to bed, and apparently he has not.
He also wasn't coming to Petty this weekend, and I saw him both days. Didn't you, Dylan?
I slept at his house.
You did.
What happened to tenting? Yeah, you didn't tell me this story. What happened to tenting?
Because it was going to rain.
And that didn't stop you at 660.
Yeah, well, you know what? Brandon offered after last week's show, he said, hey, if it starts to rain, you can crash at my place. Well, when the forecast wasn't looking too hot for nighttime, I said, hey, can I take you up on that offer? So I slept on his couch. I saw where his racing seat is. He uses it as a gaming chair now.
Dylan and my turtle cuddled. Apparently there's a turtle.
Yeah, and that damn light turned on at like 3 a.m. all of a sudden.
Well, that's no different than your alarm going off at 7
a.m.
Yeah, right?
it's payback, I guess. But
Hold on.
No,
I'm reading comments here. Brandon said Dylan and his turtle, but isn't Brandon the turtle himself after what I've witnessed him do on a racetrack this year?
You can't. No. Turtles actually move.
Oh, hey, Kenny.
It was actual movement.
Let's get back to racing. Kenny says he's racing.
Yeah, he's racing 660 in Miramichi, so that's great to hear. I think we're going to have at least 20 cars on that entry list. I know even with the local guys not filled out, I think we're at 14 or 15. So that'll just add to the list of drivers that are going to go up there and compete for that Ricky Bobby 150. Also, by the way, we're talking about the 660 card on Saturday evening, 4 o'clock start, by the way. Championship races for the Sportsman division, the late model Sportsman division. Alexander Oblitas leads the points going in. And the Fredericton Gun Shop Sharpshooters, which is anybody's guess as to who could come away with that one at the end of 25. I think they run 25 laps. So that's going to be a very exciting show as well. So you got 2 championships on the line. Then you got technically the DMR Auto Street Stock Championship is wrapped up as long as Riley Goodwin can start or crank the car or go through tech. It's show points for that race. So the actual finish of the race doesn't count towards the championship. Obviously, there's some money and what have you on the line as well. But that's going to be a huge card. Regardless, with the DMR Auto presents the Ricky Bobby 150. That's on there too. But you also have 2 championship races to decide, 2 track championships. And the sports division always puts on a great show, as does the Fredericton Gun Shop Sharpshooters. If you're in the Fredericton area, you're going to want to get out and enjoy that show. But we really didn't make picks, and we don't have the fantasy picks for this week for this Ricky Bobby race. But boys, who do you got? Michael Cormier and Luke McLaughlin seem to be the 2 that are at the top of the list. Anybody else going to come out and surprise us?
I'll pick Riley Goodwin. I'll pick the shirtless wonder. I think he was very strong in that 100 lap race. Michael was stronger, but that extra 50 laps, and if they get a heavy car count, and if the race goes the way it went before, where it's a little rock'em sock'em, it could be anyone's race. But I'll put my bet on the man who's probably going to be half naked in victory lane, Riley Goodwin.
I've got a points lead to defend. I know that after we don't like to see drivers crash, but Cole, thank you for giving me the points lead back, because that was Tim's pick. Just make sure Tim doesn't pick you from now on, because he's nothing but a curse. But I will gladly take the points lead back. I got to defend it now as we head into the final part of the season here. So I got to go with Michael Cormier. But how about, James Match at second place in the Urquhart Construction 100? He comes to mind. Sean Highslip, Justin Cole, 2 top contenders. I know they want to win this race bad. Rick Cashel, he's had an up and down roller coaster wild season, but we know he can still wheel a car. Tristan Harris has shown some speed. Caleb Urquhart, we talked about those local guys. Honestly, I haven't saw the entry list again, but if Logan Power makes an appearance, he dominated Friday night at Petty, so I wouldn't put it past him to run well. I know first time he took the street stock to 660, I believe, was in the Ricky Bobby race in 2019, and he actually led a bunch of laps that night. So, lots of names. It's going to be quality and quantity in this field. It's going to be a great show.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to bet against the 68 car of Michael Cormier. Going to be hard to bet against him. Obviously, him and Luke McLaughlin were the show at Speed Weekend. I wouldn't put it past a guy like Mitchell Arsenault, who has Luke McLaughlin turning the wrenches or helping him tune that race car. Would not put it past him either to go to victory lane in that race. It's going to be a really good show. And like names you mentioned, like James Matchett, wasn't on my radar because, again, filling out a registration form. But yeah, there's a lot of names that I don't think we've even touched on so far here this evening. Brandon Campbell says 58. Ty McCoy says that 51 of Mitchell Arsenault. There's a lot of good names that are going to be at that race coming up this weekend. So you're going to want to get out to Speedway 660. DMR Auto presents the Ricky Bobby 150. There's lap money on the line. I think that is it the Heartbreak Award? I don't know what exactly the name is, but it's a $2,000 award. I think that comes back this year. Brian McLean won it last year, right?
I think if I remember reading it correctly, I believe it's called the Never Give Up Award. It's $2,019 to win. That's a big chunk of change. That, I think, outside of the 5K in the Ricky Bobby race, is more money than what any other street stock race pays, and that's not even for the winner. So, I think Brad McLean got 12th, 13th, something like that last year. He came back. I think he had a tire go down in the first half of the race, and they call it the Never Give Up Award. He never gave up. He ran right to the end, picked up some spots, and picked up a nice chunk of change. At the end of the night, a name that I don't know if it's on the list, but always got to watch the defending champion from Miramichi, Briar Ellis. But something that comes to mind with this race, the last 2 years at halfway, we've seen an invert. And I don't know if we'll see an invert this year. I'm sure if there is one, they're not going to tell the drivers because that kind of spoils the surprise.
I know where there's a wheel they could use, though.
Yes, we can use. That's a good idea.
Yeah. Dylan, could you hook that up?
You gotta ask Donald. I almost said Donald Campbell. He doesn't have the wheel. Yeah,
he's
Donald
got a street
Chisholm.
stock, though. He should be up in that race.
That's right.
Yes.
He should.
Yes.
Honestly, I have a better idea than the wheel. I mean, with the way Brent Roy goes through printers, I'm sure if we just press print, it'll print out a random number on the printer, and we can invert based on whatever Brent's printer says.
Yeah. Okay. So I know, and Paul is going to get at me. He's a part of the NAP series. NEPS begins October 5th, right, Paul?
Yes, we're kicking it off.
Oh, his microphone's muted too.
He's gone.
Oh, here he is.
There I am. Ta-da.
There.
Yeah, they're kicking off October 5th at Daytona. The NEP's 60 miles at Daytona. We're going to start
hold on. So that means that Brent has a chance to win because it's a super speedway?
Shut up, Brent. Oh, he's not here.
No, he's not here.
Yes, he does have a chance to win because it is Daytona. We're actually just talking with Corey Casagrande, who's going to win it, whatever the picks are this weekend up in Canada. But we did just talk to Corey a little bit ago. Going to be doing some driver intros and get a chance to meet all the drivers. So we're going to be kicking that off at 8 p.m. Eastern time, at Daytona on October 5th. Really, really looking forward to this season.
So what you're saying is we get a virtual autograph from Brent Roy.
I bet we could make that happen.
Oh, okay. Well, that's absolutely great. Pro stocks aren't on the card at 660 this weekend. They've already done their season, obviously, with the 250. That was a great show up there. And pro stocks, we've got a couple of more minutes before Craig McDonald comes on. So let's kind of focus or kind of shift our focus to Saturday night with the Maritime League of Legends Tour Crossroad Cycles 50. East Coast Mini Stock Tour presented by Passion Flooring and Interiors. Drew is probably watching. He's probably going to tell me who the sponsor is. I know they had a sponsor for the AMP race. I don't know if it's transferring over, but I'm sure he will get to me on that.
I know the sponsor for the AMP race.
What's that?
Can we say what the sponsor was going to be? Or
I don't know if we can or not. But I can tell you it's a very familiar name to race the racing community. But I don't. And I'm sure Drew is watching, so I'm sure I will get a message here in the next couple of moments. But and obviously the Atlantic Oliver Tire 200 coming up on Saturday, 4:00 start, and you can watch that live on Tim's Corner TV. Going to be an exciting time. Good to have some familiar faces coming out and helping us out on the broadcast as well. Then Friday, the Car Star Weekly Racing Series is here. We'll talk to Dylan McMillan a little bit about that. But before we get into Craig, he's pretty much got that championship wrapped up. Drew is watching, by the way. So Drew, message me if there is a sponsor on that race, and we'll give you a little bit of love. And if not, we might be able to sell you one here tonight. But yeah, it's going to be a great show. Matt Watson, Gerald Gallant's coming over.
Oh,
from what I've
sweet.
been told. So there's a couple more island cars coming. Obviously, Ryan McKnight's going to make the trip. Dylan McMillan's going to make the trip with his Honda. So that's going to be a really good show. Pat Healy from the Lakers is going to sponsor the heat races for the East Coast Mini Stock Tour this week. I do know that. So there's $100 extra on the line for each heat race winner. So Saturday is going to be fun. Not only do we have the Atlantic Oliver Tire 200, we have the Passion Florida Interiors East Coast Mini Stock Tour and the Maritime League of Legends Tour Crossroads Cycles 50. So there's a lot to accomplish on Saturday. If you're not at 660, be sure to be at Scotia Speedworld. And if you're at 660 and you want to watch, be sure to grab your event pass so you can watch. When you're at 660 from Scotia Speedworld, it's going to be a great evening of racing. Wherever you are in the Maritimes, to get out and watch that. So, excuse me, we've got a busy weekend packed up at Scotia Speedworld. So, Dylan, what are you looking forward to the most as we get ready for 2 days?
Just being at the track, to be honest with you. It's if the weather all lines up, which we've been pretty lucky. 3 days for me, going to be helping you out on Friday with the Car Star Weekly Racing Series, and I mean 3 big races and 3 great divisions on Saturday. You said it. Championship race for the League of Legends, one of the final races for the Mini Stock Tour, and it's great to hear guys like Matt Watson and Ryan McKnight are making the trip there. And then we have the penultimate race for the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour, the Atlantic Oliver Tire in memory of Jim Hallahan 200, pardon me. Maybe we could probably throw an extra 50 laps anyways. Jim would like that above.
Jim would like that. I'm not sure if the guys would like that on the promotional side to do the extra 50 laps and the extra pay. Drew reminded me that the Lakers are sponsoring the heat races for $100 each. We already mentioned that. We're looking to see if we have a race sponsor, not Drew. So if you can get me that,
come on, Drew.
Awesome.
But continuing, Tim, with the 200 lapper, we got 20 cars on track that are on the entry list here, which is one of the bigger fields for the tour this year. And big championship battle, only a few points separate Craig Slomwhite, who is hotter than the sun right now, I will say, on his streak winning the Mike Stevens Memorial, fresh off winning a bunch of tour races. He's going to be one to contend with. But then again, Cole Butcher, him and Scotia is magic. So this is going to be an awesome race.
So there is no race sponsor right now in the Passion Flooring Interiors East Coast Mini Stock Tour for Saturday. So contact Drew if you want to get involved in what is going to be a pretty exciting show coming up on Saturday with the Passion Flooring Interiors East Coast Mini Stock Tour, their season finale. And they put on one heck of a show between Dave Matthews, Ryan McKnight at the Pubs Drive Through Bottle Exchange 50.
Cody Byrne's going to be there too. Cody Byrne, he told me we were at the Salisbury Shell. He was just leaving from his big win on Friday at Petty, and he says, "Yep, I'm flying back down again to come back and race."
Good, because I know they have a triple header weekend with the NASCAR Pinty Series at Delaware, so good to see him making the trip back down and going back and forth from his new job in Ontario. So we're going to talk more about the Atlantic Oliver Tire 200 coming up a little bit later on, but I believe I'm going to throw Paul for a loop because we're going to go to our second guest. So if you want to roll the intro on this one, it is a driver of the number 98, and he is your point leader on the Maritime League of Legends Tour. Your most recent winner on the series, and we're going to try to make some magic happen here. I'm going to do this, do that, and y'all should have, I believe, in just a couple of moments, the driver of the number 98, Craig McDonald. Craig, you got us?
Hey, what's up?
Not much, boys. You can take this one away. I'm going to start writing some more press releases. I'm excited to listen to this one.
We know you just got DoorDash. That's why.
No, I didn't order my DoorDash. I came home about 20 minutes before we went on air. I haven't ate since St. John's. So yes, that's a good reminder. Y'all take it away.
Okay. Craig, welcome to TCM Live, and congratulations on your big win on the weekend, the Crossroads Cycles 50. We chatted in Victory Lane after big Legends win on a very big weekend, the Mike Stevens Memorial. How you feeling a few days after the big win?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's nice to get that win. Had a good battle going there with my teammate Danny. It was a long day. That's probably one of the weekends this year I had circled that I want to cross off the list. Big race I haven't won yet, so it was nice to finally get that.
So what do you mean by a long day? Was it tough setting up the car? Was it just getting ready, tight championship battle? What's a long day for Craig McDonald at the racetrack?
It's a little bit all of the above. I mean, I try not to pay attention to the points. My motto this year is basically just consistency and wins. The rest should come with it. But now, having a talented teammate like I do in Danny, I always like to go to the track with a little bit different setup than he has and have the same setup he has as a backup. And the car it did not like that setup. I like to play outside the box once in a while, and Petty was a reminder to keep my butt in the box when it comes to setups. Me and Corey had a good talk about it after, and we basically agreed that for the last race of the year, I'm going to keep my setup ideas to myself, and we're going to unload with what him and Danny what Danny's been running all year with the setup him and Scott McLean came up with.
You and Danny the entire year, Craig, you just can't get away from each other, whether it's with the Maritime League Legends or just weekly racing at Scotia. That just shows the success that CHR and you guys have been having. I mean, it just speaks of how strong you boys have been this year, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, in all honesty, if you asked any of us, we kind of started the year off behind the 8 ball to the BML bunch. We unloaded. I mean, Scotia's probably my best track. It's the track I have the most seat time at. It's my home track. I only live 10 minutes away. I got lots of seat time there. And, the fact I finished 4th at the season opener there this year says a lot, considering, that's been my go-to track, it seems like. And, but now this year after that, the boys, me, Corey, Danny, Scott McLean, even my cousin Brad, all dug down deep, started, testing, coming up with ideas, and just went hard to try and catch up to the BLM guys. And, it seems to have paid off. I mean, like you said, me and Danny always seem to be in contention at least. We should have had both a 660, but we were a little too even that day, and that got us in trouble. So, but I mean, no, it's been great being fast this year. Last year I felt like we were behind the 8 ball. I definitely was. I mean, I had to try and learn a new motor package and tire package all at once, when my main competition, Braden, had been running all year. So it feels good to finally be caught back up, that's for sure. Now I just got to try and keep up with that pesky 87 car.
I'm sure we'll dive really into that 660 race. Well, you know what? We might as well address the elephant in the room. What happened during that first race at 660? You and Danny are battling, and then towards the end, I think it may have been about like 13, 14 laps to go, you two spin in turn 1.
Yeah, no, it was in the second race there. Danny's car was better that day, for as far as like a fire off lap or like a 2-lap sprint, my car was better. But after that, his car was just superior. And he pushed me to the point where I was mentally saying to myself, like, you can't go any harder, otherwise it's not going to end well. And he finally got by me in lap traffic. He used a move I would use on other people against me, unfortunately. And, I tried to cross him back up, and I was there, and, normally I wouldn't feel bad, but the day before at 660, Danny had a couple runs up under me, and I took the nose off him on times he was further up on me than I was at that point. And, the attitude of his car going off into 1, it kind of told me like he knew I was there. And then at the last second, he went off in there, no fault of his own. And by the time I realized, like, oh crap, he doesn't know I'm here, it was too late. I nailed the brake, and I just caught him, and I spun him out, unfortunately. I felt bad because, the kid cut me a few breaks the day before. And me and feeling bad for people normally doesn't go hand in hand, and racing normally, on the track type deal. But that's if I had one regret for this year, that'd probably be the biggest one.
That was the second race. So now let's talk about the good times at 660. You got the big win, the first Legends race on Saturday. What a big win for you, right?
Oh man, that was massive. At the start of the year, me and Corey were talking. He's like, "Yo, what's basically your goal for this year?" I was like, I got to win 660. That's a big deal. I've been trying to win it since 2016, and since 2017 on, I probably should have won it a couple times. Bad luck. It seemed like to finally get that one off my back was a big deal. It was surreal for sure. The last 2 laps, I was definitely holding my breath, waiting for something to happen, the motor to blow, another bolt to break, a yellow to come out, give me anxiety on a restart, anything. And when I finally saw that checkered flag, like, that's a weight I've been carrying since 2012 off my back that, basically, I fell in love with that weekend when I was young, before I ever started racing myself. Me and my family went up there one year, and we've been going ever since. And I fell in love with it then, and then losing my dad on that weekend put a bit of a put a bit of a dark cloud over that weekend for quite a few years for me. And, getting that win on that weekend was, in a lot of ways, basically a way for me to put that behind me. Like, it happened. I'm still here. My dad's not, unfortunately, but you know what? I'm still here. I'm still racing, still going strong, and I'm going to be fine, as painfully as it is to say, without him. And that was a big deal for me.
That's very special. Craig McDonald, point leader in the Maritime League of Legends, is with us. So, race fans, if you have a question for Craig, I mean, this is one of the best in legend racing here in the Maritimes with us.
By the way, since we kicked out Brandon Campbell from the call, I'll handle social. So if you guys have any questions or you guys want to come to me, I'm here. I'm just ordering DoorDash.
What are you getting us?
I don't know. What do you guys want?
I said chicken pot pie. I'll be all right.
Chicken pot. Okay. Well, to each his own.
I want chicken nuggets and whiskey.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. I'm all for that. Glenn Knott is watching. Want to say hello to Glenn. Brandon Campbell is still watching, even though we kicked him out of the Zoom call for being a little sassy earlier. Hey, Craig, who's your best friend from back in the day? I know the answer is me.
Oh, who asked that? Was that Buddy Munn?
It must be who he's referring to. I'm sure it's not him. Brent Patterson wants to know, what was your worst wreck you've had in a legend car? And I think I know the answer to this one, and I think it's Scotia in turn 2.
Scotia halfway down the backstretch, yeah. That would have been in 2017, the first year that I've raced my car full time. Corey had just moved up to running Pro Stock part time, and one Friday night they asked me to run it, and I was like, yeah, sure. I was planning on going anyway, and I jumped in the car. Car was fast. Obviously, it's Corey's personal car. That thing always seems to be freaking fast. Started in the back of the feature, got up front. I was battling my teammate Andrew on a restart, and I just about had him cleared. And to this day, me and Andrew still argue as to whose fault it was or what deal it was. But with none of that, I ended up in the air, and I bounced off the wall. And when I did, it hung the throttle cable wide open, and I bounced off the wall all the way down to where the grass is on the backstretch with my right front tire hopping by me. And I went for the brake. I must have missed the brake, and my left foot went for the other brake. And basically, my stupid self clutch kicked the car wide open head on into a fence by accident, and cracked the wall, destroyed Corey's. At the time, it was definitely the best car in the CHR fleet by 1.5 miles. It got killed. I broke a bone in my ankle, dislocated my knee. That's been my worst racing wreck in general. Didn't matter what kind of car I was in.
Well, there you go. We are live and interactive with Craig McDonald. Drop us a question or a comment, and we will get to it. Boys, continue on.
Man, that's probably the worst wreck story we've heard on this whole TCM Live. Every other one's like, oh, I flipped and I was fine, but an injury like that, that's rough go. Denver, you got any questions for Craig?
Yeah, Craig, I want to kind of go through the 2021 season. You've picked up a couple wins. One day that I want to ask you about this year is, I believe, the first Legends Tour race at Petty. There was a little bit of a mix-up in the heat race. You overcame that and ended up on the podium in second place. Take us back through that day, the perseverance, the incident. It was definitely a wild day for you.
Yeah, that was definitely wild. We started the day off with the car wrecking free, and by the time the heat race, we had that thing finally, probably the best car I had all year. And I had to start mid-pack in the heat race, which is no big deal. And I caught Braden somehow, and I went to pass him, and me and him talked about it after. It was just a race deal. I went to cross him up, and our bumpers hooked, which is something that's never happened to us before in all the times we battled. And, well, I stood on the brake pedal, and me and Braden both watched that wall keep coming closer and closer and closer. And unfortunately, we hit the stupid thing. I thought I killed the car personally. I thought I destroyed the radiator. I thought I cleaned the clip off it. I thought I stuck the motor into it. And I mean, it hurt the clip for sure at the time. It destroyed the right front suspension. It destroyed a fender I'd spent probably 12 hours on all off season making perfect, which to this day still makes me pretty mad about. But no, that day was a lot of perseverance. As soon as I calmed down and saw it come in on the flatbed, I saw this car, is it going to win a race? Probably not, but I'm going to try my best. Big thanks to Scott Hall. He Corey was racing that day, and he said, Corey's fine. I'm going to go help this guy out. Him, Curtis Lindsay, Michael's uncle Earl helped. They all helped thrash, get that car together, and that was probably the most evil driving car I've ever had in my career. That thing, 1 second it was loose, 1 second it was tight, 1 second it wanted to turn down the straightaway. It was an interesting car to drive. A lot of perseverance. I don't like to quit. I don't like to give up because I'll just be mad at myself down the road. And when I saw the car was at least somewhat fixable and I had all the hands on deck to help, we basically said, let's get at it. CHR never doesn't know what quit means.
And you did just that. You never quit, came back and salvaged that day. So if you go this weekend and win the championship, how much are you going to look back on that day at Petty? Because it was early in the season, and attribute that never quit attitude to that championship.
Definitely, that's going to be the one I go back to. That's kind of when my season, took a turnaround. I started the year off at a non-tour race win in Petty. Started the year off pretty good. Then after that, I went through like a 2-3 race stretch of nothing but bad luck. I raced at Scotia. We bent shock tire on the car coming back to the field. Got that fixed. Went to Petty. Had that issue. 2-3 weeks where like it just seemed like we were just wrecking crap, which is not something I'm accustomed to. I normally don't wreck my stuff. So that was definitely the turning point, because since then, I don't think I've finished any worse than third since then. So definitely a big turning point in the year. If I was thinking about it today, I was working on the car, it was at that point that, my year got going the way it should go. Whatever luck I had prior to that, I don't know where I got it from or whatever, but I'm just glad that's gone, because that was I was getting pretty upset at that point. I was like, I need to be winning races, and here I am, wrecking crap and not finishing in the top 3.
And I mean, you only had, ever since that race, you were right, you've been on the podium every single time. But if you look at the Legends Tour Series and that schedule, your worst finish is only 4th, and that was at the season opener. So that's an impressive season. Transitioning from 2019, a year that you had a pretty good year, to last year where it was the COVID year and the Legends Tour didn't run. There was open races and stuff like that, to back on the Legends Tour. It's been a wild last 2-3 seasons. What's it been like for you going from, having the schedule, running the Legends Tour, and then last year, everything just being totally flipped upside down and people just trying to just get laps whenever they can?
Last year was a lot of stress. It was pretty easy. You could pick and choose when you want to race. There was no schedule saying, hey, you got to be here. There's no points anywhere. It was basically, do I feel like racing this weekend or not? And, on the weekends you didn't want to race, you went and hung out with your friends if lockdown wasn't happening at the time. In that sense, it was nice. Me and the guys were talking, I think it was yesterday, day before, and we were we were asking each other, is it just me, or does this season feel like it's just been long? And in all honesty, it has been. You've had Danny racing every week on the weekly, me racing the tour, Danny racing the tour, Corey racing pro stock, even Brad made a comeback in the sedan a few times this year. It's been a long year, and what a lot of people don't realize is when Corey races, the rest of us are there working on this pro stock while we're racing. It's taxing. I love racing to death. Obviously, I've been doing it forever, but when the year ends, I won't be crying. That's for sure. I'll be enjoying a few weekends off before I go, all right, I'm ready to get back to this again.
Absolutely. Looking back, a race I want to bring up from 2020, Sydney Speedway. You got some wins there, including Thanksgiving Thunder. That was, at the end of the season, and last year in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick got to run starting from about July on. It was a later start for Nova Scotia. What was it like to pick up that win in Cape Breton?
The funny thing of it is I didn't even want to go, in all honesty. I'm originally from Cape Breton. I was born there. I didn't live there very long. I was, people say, where you're from? I'm from there. I only lived there for about 6 months, but I'd never seen the track. It was one of the very few tracks I had. There's a few tracks I never raced at, but that was at the time the only track in the Maritimes I'd never seen in general. And Corey's like, Danny's going, I'm going. You should come. You're not racing anyway. And I was like, I just kind of hummed and hawed. And I said, hey, screw it, I'll go. I'll have some fun. And we went up there the first week, and we went up early, and testing got rained out. And that is the only track in my career, and I've raced at a lot of tracks in the Maritimes, outside the Maritimes, that I was not concerned about testing. There was something about that track. It flowed with me. And, we went out the next day, first day in practice, and at the end of first practice, I came in and Corey just kind of looked at me and I was like, what? And he goes, I hate you, and walked away because apparently my first time out, I broke his track record. So it's a track I fell in love with off the get-go, the way it races, the people up there, the way it was ran. It was just really cool. I would definitely race her in a legend car if I owned a pro stock and had a pro stock race there. She might be just a little too small for that, in my opinion. But that track's amazing. I can't wait to see what Lyndon and all them have planned for it this year, and I hope we get to go back up there this year because last year, like you said, I raced there twice, and including heat races, I get to lose a race there. So I'd like to see if I can add on to that, see if I can get a few more wins there this year. It'd be kind of fun.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
I talked to Lyndon last night between friends here. I talked to Lyndon there. That October race that I know he mentioned to Ken McIsaac and mentioned to a couple of others is still in the works. I would expect probably more information on that in the next week or so. So for those that are watching from Sydney that are looking at that, Lyndon, Kyle, that whole crew is working really hard on that racetrack. So that should be coming up, I would say probably in the next week or so.
Perfect. I just hope they have another big money legend race there because, that's the only track that has put one on this year. I mean, around here in general, and I don't know how long, I've been saying for the longest time, we got to try and find sponsorship for like our biggest race weekend of the year, which is at ABK, for some real good money. Because I feel like in a non-COVID world, if we ever get to that again, you put some money up on that race, you'll get guys from Maine, Ontario. I mean, I got a buddy in Ontario who's been telling me him and a bunch of rest of them will come on down for that type of race.
That would definitely be exciting. And you mentioned Riverside, Craig. A track that maybe you haven't had the best of luck at over the years. What's it going to take to figure out, especially if there's, a big money race with a full field of cars?
Oh, Riverside. Riverside is my, 660 I've had bad luck at. Riverside is that would be my kryptonite. I love the track. A lot of cool history there. The family that owns it seems like a great family. They do great things with that track. And it's a fun track to race on, don't get me wrong. But if I want to win a race at Riverside, I'm gonna have to freaking get a tow hook and throw it on that damn 08 car. He's and it's even worse because it's the same setups in our car. So I can't even say he's got a better car. The dude just straight up out drives me there, and that's the only track that I've raced at in the Maritimes that I've not won at, and can't say I've ever been a winning car there. Like before 660 this year, I could say, I should have won it these few years. Just broke a bolt, had a motor blow up, whatever. Riverside, even when I did blow a motor up, I was running second to that damn 08 car. So, and even when Corey, the one time I beat Corey, Braden decided, hey, you still finished second today, bud. I was like, damn, I can't. There's something I'm missing there. I got to get, I got to test there. I haven't been there at the episode of 9 yet. We got to go testing there. I was excited to run there this year, and I was pretty bummed when they announced that we wouldn't be able to. I was, and I was like, I really want to race there, and Corey wouldn't have been there this year, so that would have been my best chance at a 250 weekend win there, which is the only 250 weekend I haven't won at yet. But, after that was, canceled. Me and Corey have always had a joke. The first year he won IWK was the first year I won the CAT 250 weekend, and we've been going tit for tat ever since, winning in a row. And we always joke who's going to end whose streak. And when they canceled it, he looked at me and goes, I'm so glad you didn't get a chance to end my streak this year, dude.
Well, Craig, maybe we can get some announcer at Riverside to spin some sort of a fancy wheel and maybe help you out a little bit. I don't know if we know that guy or not.
God, could you imagine an invert with legends? I don't
know. We did that. It was called the first race of the season, if anybody remembers that.
Yeah, I'd like to forget that one. I went from the lead to the rear real quick. I was not happy about that one.
I think that was a one and done on the League of Legends tour, which I'm fine with. Craig, I don't know if you are, but I'm fine with it.
I haven't, aside from the petty racing incident, I haven't bent any suspension parts since that race. So yeah, I'm good. If they in the drivers meeting this week say, hey, who wants to do an invert? You won't be seeing my hand go up. That's for sure.
There you go. And I think with all this Riverside roulette stuff that we did in the last couple of weeks, I think you're probably not alone. We're live and interacting with Craig McDonald. We got a couple of more minutes left with Craig. We are going to try Randy McCoy's audio once again at the top of the hour, boys. Just tipping you off on that. So if you have a question, comment for Craig, drop it down below. We got him for a few more minutes here. And you guys are doing great so far. Loving the racing conversation.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tim. We're kind of split-flopping. You're usually on camera. I'm on the social media, but it's all good.
Listen, I didn't think I was going to be home for this. I quick trip from the airport, back from Truro back down. So I'm actually surprised I'm even here. So I'm half dead after the day, but you guys are doing a great job. Carry on.
Merci. So, Craig, let's talk about something you brought up just a couple minutes ago. Crewing for Corey Hall. What a year Corey has had in that number 83 Pro Stock, winning the Remax 250, getting his first Pro Stock win earlier this year, and now he's heading to Scotia Speedworld with that number 83, I believe. What a big year he's been having, and you are a part of that, helping him on the crew side.
Yeah, no, he's finally having that breakout year. He was kind of getting down on himself the last few years because, like me, he's really hard on himself. He knows he's no superstar, but at the same time, the amount of work he puts in, he expects results. He wants results. We all, to all the drivers out there that come home after working all day and put their blood, sweat, and tears to the car till 1 a.m. They want to win, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. And from my point of view, it's been great to see. He's really deserving of it. As far as being a crew chief and stuff, like for his age, the dude's super smart. Like no one can take it from him. Even the people, I don't even think his haters can take it from him. The dude's just wicked smart with a race car. Otherwise, he wouldn't be where he is. And obviously, he can drive. I mean, that 250 race at 660, he put on a clinic. I mean, Sloan was good, Austin was good, but in all honesty, I don't think any of them had anything for him. Dude was just, car was on rails. We barely touched it the whole weekend. I wasn't there the whole time. I was flip flopping from his trailer to my trailer. But the time I was there doing the stagger and stuff, like we very few minor adjustments for a pro stock. Dude's been, ever since the start of the year, he put the work in this off season, and it's showing. I mean, I think the dude's won all but 2 races that he's entered this year. And if I know him, at Scotia, he won't be, he won't be easy to beat, knowing him. And it's been, really cool, to be a part of. I mean, first few races this year, I got to spot for him, something I've been doing for a long time, and I got to get my first win as a spotter this year. I got 2 in a row with him, and the first one was cool. The second one at Petty was really wild. It was a Riverglade weekend. That one was super cool. It's just, it's been great. All the boys coming together, helping each other out. All of us having really good seasons this year, it seems like. And the results, it's just, it's been a long summer, but it's been a really fun and really great summer.
Let's talk about that Riverglade win, Corey's second win in the Pro Stock. And yeah, that was a wild race where Cole was leading contact with a slow car. Cars playing ping pong against each other in the corners. What is your reaction when you're on the spotter stand, seeing the leader spin out, and then everything happening before the checkered flag flies?
Oh, a lot of the stuff I said on the radio, I probably can't repeat here. I probably shouldn't have said then. There was definitely a lot of cursing. In a lot of different ways, but when I saw the leader miss his shift and Corey peak low, I basically told Corey on the radio that if you back out when you get out of the car, I'm going to kick the crap out of you. You better stall it off in there, and he did, and he did what he did, in my opinion, to the 08, what the 08 would do to him and anybody else. So fair is fair, in my opinion. I definitely didn't feel bad after the race. The trophy was cool to win. The celebration was awesome. As far as the spotter, I might be biased with where I was spotting for him, but I didn't see anything wrong. Corey did. He ran the leader the way the leader ran him. Fair is fair, in my opinion. And it was just, I'm normally pretty relaxed on the spotter stand, but that is the one time that, if we had a heart rate monitor on me, that thing would have been going off the charts at that point. That restart and to the end was just wild.
Do you think a little rivalry like that's good for racing, where it's getting a little intense there?
I think rivalries are good to a degree, so long as there's a mutual respect. If there's not a mutual respect and you're out there wrecking gear week in and week out, no. But a little bit of grit, a little bit of some fans against the other fans, I think it's good for otherwise it gets boring. I mean, for a while there, me and Braden had a rivalry, and we didn't always like each other, but I think for the most part we always respected each other. And I mean, it never bothered me. I never once thought he was going to wreck me for no reason, and hopefully he feels the same way about me. The rivalry in that pro stock deal, you wreck somebody in that, legend car wrecks a couple $100. You wreck a pro stock, that's quite a few $1,000s in damage, and so long as there's respect, I think it's pretty good. I got no issues with it. I mean, I love rivalries. I mean, no secret, not a lot of people are CHR's biggest fan of Legend Cars. We don't, we got a lot of haters. And in my opinion, I love it because, when I win or Danny wins or any of us win, and I hear the boos, I love it. I like it more than the cheers.
So what is Corey's expectation this weekend with this race coming up, the Atlantic Oliver Tire 200 presented in memory of Jim Hallahan? You've got a big points battle with another King affiliated car, Craig Slomway, going for the championship. And Corey's not just coming to Halifax for a Saturday drive. He wants to get a win.
Oh, yeah. Now, me and Corey, honestly, this week, as far as his racing, we haven't really spoke much. He's been busy with his car. I've been busy with my car. He's been busy with work. I've been flat out at work. Knowing Corey, if he can battle for the win without it, affecting the points in any way, he will. I mean, I don't think he'll rough anybody up that's in the points for no reason. But at the same time, if he can get if he's running second to Slonwhite or he's running second to Butcher with a handful of laps to go, if he can get around them clean, I know damn well Corey will. He, even Slonwhite, people say, oh, they're teammates. Well, that's great and all, but any teammate I've ever had, I've told them with 10 to go or less, you ain't my teammate no more. You're just another car to me. I don't care. I won't wreck you, but I'm not going to sit behind you and watch you win my race now. So I'd say Corey's going for the win, but he'll be respectful.
Before we let you go here, Craig, let's talk about you. I'm going to take over Tim Terry's job for one moment. Michael Cormier is wondering with you, are you going for the win or are you thinking championship this weekend? Are you going to kind of push it or are you going for the checkered flag and getting that trophy and the championship trophy at the end of it?
Anyone that knows me knows that answer. I never go to the track to finish second. I'm going for the win. I won't pull some of my, what some people call aggressive antics maybe, but, I know I'm going to have to start mid-pack this weekend since I won last weekend. I know Danny will probably start up front and he'll be fast. And, there'll be other fast cars, Colt and Sam, they've been really good this year. If Braden races, he'll be up there, you got Josh Langell and all them. You got a lot of fast cars that are going to be there. But at the same time, I'm not putting, I'm not working all day and coming home and working in my shop till midnight every night this week to go out there and just putt around and collect a championship by any means. At the start of the year, I set a goal. I want at least 5 wins this year. I'm sitting on 4. I want 5. I want 5 just as much as I want the championship because as far as I'm concerned, by my math, unless I wreck on lap 1 or I get disqualified, I can't afford to be a little risky this weekend.
Points come with wins, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can't really say that to a T. I mean, in 2018, I won half the race and still somehow found a way to finish 4th in the point system. So, but yeah, I like wins just as much as, I can't say championships because I haven't won one yet, but, like I said, if I can win without doing something really stupid, I will. But, if I have to basically put myself in a wrecking position to try and get the win, I'll probably sit in second, but hopefully that it doesn't come to that.
Dylan was talking about doing my job, and that was a great question by Michael Cormier, by the way. But Brandon actually came up with a good question. Who do you think will be the biggest up-and-comer in this sport? We got a lot of Bando kids, and we got some kids that had just moved up into Legend Cars with the Young Lions division allowed at Scotia now. So who do you see as the next Craig McDonald to come up here and light it up in Legend Cars?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't want to say that. I mean, that's putting a bad rap on the kid to begin with, calling him the next me. In my opinion, Danny, Danny, I wouldn't say is up and comer. He's had a breakout year. He's shown everybody how fast he is. In my opinion, this kid I saw last year, and I told Corey about the start of this year that I was like, somebody, because Corey wasn't around too much last year at the weekly. I was like, the one kid, we should keep our eye out. Well, there's 2 kids. You got Chase coming up. Chase is really good for coming up from Bandos, but there's one kid that ran Legends this year full time at Scotia that really impressed me in his maturity, his respect. I mean, like the whole family seems like just a great family. Is Gage Gilby. The kid can drive, man. He's 13. He don't weigh nothing, and he's still throwing that car around with the best of them. I mean, he beat Danny and Brad in a heat race this year, and I've seen him run up in the top 5, and the kid's only freaking 13 years old. The talent on that kid right now is insane. He's definitely somebody in a few years. Actually, I wouldn't even say in a few years. I'd say next year. When I see him at the track, he'll probably be pushing me just like Danny's been pushing me this year. Like, I think the sky's the limit on that kid right now for potential and talent.
Yeah, there's a lot of those kids that are coming up through the ranks and making it happen. And I believe I agree with you. Gage Gilby is one of those that's going to be the next driver to really light it up in the legend. He's only going to get better with age and experience. But Craig, this has been fun. I know you have a lot of great sponsors and marketing partners on your race car that help you out. Who makes that for you, and who's on the team that turns all those wrenches that helps you out on the race day?
For sponsors, big thanks to GS Racing. They've been on my car for a few years now. Love having them there. They make the atmosphere so much more fun, so much more relaxed. I got to thank Overall Collision. Mark, he was the big reason that got me back in racing. CHR obviously for the setup. McLean Motorsports for his setup and fab help. Doug Clark Auto Body for making my car look as good as it does. Finish Line Design for the wrap for making it look even better. Robbie's Towing for coming on this year. He's been a big supporter. Eastern Powder Coating and Fab Racing, Matt Drake. Big thanks to all those guys. And for on my car, when he isn't busy racing himself, Brad is always there helping. My amazing mother, who's always supports me and gives me a kick in the butt when some days when I don't feel like working on the car. You know, she's been my best supporter since I started racing go-karts when I was probably 11, 10. And yeah, those guys. And, you know, big thanks. A lot of people don't know this. I actually have 2 siblings. Most people, like, come to find out, think I'm an only child. And my brother's been a big help this year away from the track, but, you know, let me use his tire balance machine, let me use his tools whenever I need to. And actually, I somehow convinced both my siblings this weekend to come out and watch. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend, and trying to wrap up that first Maritime League of Legends Tour Championship. I know you've been trying for a couple of years. It's going to be a great weekend, Craig. Thanks for joining us here tonight. We'll catch up, I'm sure, in Victory Lane on Saturday afternoon.
Perfect. Thanks for having me, Tim.
That's Craig McDonald, driver of the number 98 Legend car, and it's a big weekend for us, Dylan. We are going to start racing beginning on Friday night with the Car Star Weekly Racing Series. I know you're excited for that.
Yeah, I am. It's going to be fun. You know, we're wrapping up some championship battles there. Weather looks good. Forecast looks good. And can't beat being out of short track on a Friday night. So that starts at 7 p.m. Car Star Weekly Racing. We're going to have Bandoleros, Thunder and Lightning, Legends, Sportsman. Tight point battles in almost every division. Going to be pretty good, Tim.
Yeah, the heartbreak last week was Alex Johnson losing a transmission with about 3 laps to go. And I asked him earlier, I said, so what's the outlook? What's the prognosis? And the 3 words he came back to me was, we're not done. So I'm excited to see the late model sportsman go at it Friday night. They're added to the card actually on the October 2nd Maritime Pro Stock Tour show. Speaking of the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, the Atlantic Oliver Tire 200 comes up on Saturday, September 25th at 4 p.m. East Coast Mini Stock Tour on the card, as well as the Maritime League of Legends Tour. Action begins at 4 at Scotia Speedworld. If you cannot make it to the racetrack, be sure to watch live on timscorner.tv, and we will get that all ready to go. And boys, Denver, I see that you're back. Dylan, you're back, and the boys from DMR Auto have joined us. So, boys, take it away.
Well, we are joined by the folks, as Tim said, at DMR Auto in advance of one of the biggest weekends of the year at Speedway 660 in the Geary Woods. It's the 4th annual Ricky Bobby 150. Boys, welcome to the show. Can you believe this is already the 4th year for this race?
It seems like we just started this last year, not 4 years ago. Pretty crazy.
It's been tremendous to watch this race grow. It started out the first year as a 100-lapper. I think there was 22, 23 cars, a phenomenal show. And then last year, you flash forward, the move to September, 31 cars, 150 laps. Like, what a show we've seen. What do you expect on Saturday?
We're kind of hoping for the same thing. It certainly sounds like there's going to be 30 plus cars. I know there's not maybe quite that many registered yet, but with the talk that's around, it looks like we're going to have 30 cars. So hopefully it comes true. And
30 competitive cars. This race has been one of the most competitive. And when you have that many cars, it's bound to be competitive. Who do you guys have your eye on to watch as far as drivers go this weekend?
I don't want to say that aloud.
Well, we can throw a bunch of names out. We can throw a bunch of names out, and they don't have to know who maybe one is.
Yeah. Riley, Michael Cormier. I mean, he's going to be a tough nut, right? Hopefully Brad McLean's in there. I know he had tough luck last year. had tough luck in the race, but you want a pile of money. I mean, he just ended up a lucky spot there for one of the draws that we did was like, I think almost $2,000. So, I expect him to do good things this year.
Let's talk about some of those bonuses. I know there's a lot of it. I mean, the amount of money that's up for grabs is almost overwhelming. It's by far the biggest total purse for street stock drivers in Atlantic Canada. And Tim mentioned earlier that there's bonuses that are $2,000 that pay more than most races pay to win. So what are these drivers racing for this weekend?
We don't have a final total on it yet. Last year with Chris Hanley there, with what happened, a lot of people bailed on board, and that made it for it was almost I think it was a little over $20,000 of total payout. It was huge. I don't think we're going to quite reach that this year. I'm thinking 15 for a street stock race, which is still big money. We're up about 15 grand. I think the payout itself is somewhere around 10, and then we're probably talking another $5,000 contingency money,
which is still mightily impressive.
Yeah. I never expected this. When I first started this, like you said, the first year was 100 laps, and most people's aware that we get these kids involved, and that's what I started out doing, was trying to spread a little bit of money through the field. So we got like $400 or $500 sponsors, and we use these kids to pick a random position out of the top 5 to try and spend some money through the field. So the first year was like $2,500, and it's certainly grown from the first year. It's awesome.
It's neat to see that the money gets distributed back through the field, and you do your inverts and you turn the race around, right? And it just gives everybody a reason to come, knowing that they can, have a chance to win some of that money rather than have to have that top money car that's always winning, right? So, and those guys you can put to the back, and they put on a good show, through the night, trying to get through all those other cars. So, and I think that's really what turns on the race, right?
I think he just told on him. I'm not sure of that. I think that's what.
Well,
I wasn't supposed to talk about that.
That's what happened.
So I'm not sure exactly what he's talking about.
We'll know that.
I guess we'll know at the halfway point exactly what's happening.
Do we have a 5-second delay? We might be able to go back and maybe cut out parts of tonight. The fun that comes with doing the live shows, but even still, like you said, huge purse regardless, and spreading it back through the field, absolutely phenomenal. There was drivers finishing 20th last year, leaving with $2,000.
Absolutely, right?
Yeah, crazy. Eh?
And another thing I think is neat is that when this Ricky Bobby race actually started, the street stock racing was, there wasn't as many cars, not as many big races. And when the Ricky Bobby race started and people seen what could happen, right? I don't know if you noticed or not, but a lot of these other tracks are starting to have these big street stock races, which is bringing out more cars to everybody's venues.
The trophy machine. Oh.
Yes.
It's really neat to see that.
How it's took on a life of its own from all of Atlantic Canada.
And I'm sure Ricky Bobby.
It's awesome to see that.
Absolutely.
Honest, right? Saying thanks, guys.
We have another 5 kids involved again this year, and we got them jackets and stuff. One thing we're going to do a little bit different. We got that T-shirt cannon that the Speedway's had forever, and we're going to implement that this year as well.
So some of those Ricky Bobby shirts.
Yeah, so that'll be a little different for the fans. The fans are going to get something out of it as well. I'm trying to look after the sponsors and get them back again next year. But yeah,
absolutely. Doing it right, making it all about the fans, incorporating kids. That's what it's all about. And you look at the lure of this race, and you've mentioned trying to draw the best of the best. I remember the first year when I was there, Donnie Greer was talking in the tech shed about how he had never seen a PEI street stock roll over his scales before. And I think Tim said earlier that there's 4 or 5 registered to come this year from PEI. So this race is really, it's not just a Speedway 660 race. It's not just a New Brunswick race. It's truly grown into a race for all of Atlantic Canada. And that's shown last year. This race won a TCM Best of 2020 award.
Awesome. I guess I didn't know that. I just forgot about that. That's awesome. Yeah. Know you're involved in that. That's awesome.
Dylan, I know you can't be at the Ricky Bobby race this weekend, but what do you have from the boys from DMR Auto? You've seen some of the phenomenal street stock racing at Speedway 660.
I have. I just want to thank you guys for putting that on. Gives a spot for the boys and girls in the street stock division to go, and a lot of big races coming up at multiple tracks. But let's talk about really the man who inspired this race, Ricky Arbo Sr. What did he mean to Speedway 660, including in memoriam for this event?
He lived at that track. He breathed that track, and we've been friends for a long, long time anyway. And years ago, we named him Ricky Bobby. It's we always torment each other, and everybody gets a nickname, and everybody gets tormented about something. And anyway, we tormented him one night about calling him Ricky Bobby, and it stuck and stayed there forever. And then when he got sick, we thought, all right, this is he's still going to be here for this race. So we started it the first time. We thought, okay, we should have a name for this race. What are we going to do? And anyway, he came up with Ricky Bobby, and he was just that just touched him big time. He would be just thrilled to death to have any idea what's going on. I'm not sure he's watching.
And he's immortalized in more ways than one. When I was at 660 this year, I saw that the wooden statue almost there near turn 5 where the partying happens there, and that photo of him kind of leaning on the fence. I mean, that's just immortalized in more ways than one, right?
Yeah, that he's supposed to be pointing, right? Is what the statue is. He's supposed to be pointing. Well, Greg Fay, every time Greg Fay, that was his pro stock driver was Greg. And that was him pointing Greg to go past them, right? That was a rever up and go, Greg. And, so that was always him standing the fence for Greg. So that's why he's there. The statue. His wife actually had that time. And it's pretty awesome to have that there as well.
What about the other divisions going to be racing the same day as well with the sharpshooters and sportsmen? What are you expecting from those divisions here on the Ricky Bobby weekend?
That sharpshooter class, man, I don't even want to tell you about that. That it's grown so crazy. And the amount of cars and everybody wants to win. You can only have one winner, but I know I used to race years ago, and I know I was the same way. I always wanted to win. So they put on an awesome show. Sometimes it takes a little long because they get extremely aggressive, get all tied up. But all in all, man, they put on an awesome show.
And the sportsmen too are going to have some fun, right? Alex Oblina is leading the points, looking to grab that championship.
Yes, yeah. That'll be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think she's heading a little ways though.
Denver, you mentioned, we can't be at two places at once, but for any fanboys that's in New Brunswick, why should they make the trip to the Geary Woods this weekend? What's that one thing special about this weekend?
Well, it's certainly, it's got that wow factor. It's the biggest street stock race. And our good friend Wade Wilson, we miss him on the mic this year. He calls the street stock racing the old school racing, and you don't really see that old school racing very often. You throw 30 of these cars on the track, that's old school racing. It takes, I always hear the stories of the 90s and the 2000s when there was, 30, 40 sportsmen in street stocks at Speedway 660. It brings it back to those days. The stands are full. There's the best of the best on the track. It's really, truly like an all-star type of race. But it's also an endurance race. 150 laps is a long time, and they got to make their cars last. Last year we had some guys that maybe forgot to fill up their fuel tanks. They were almost running out of gas by halfway. So there's a lot of elements to this race. It's probably the most difficult street stock race to win for many reasons. But it's also one of the most fun to watch, and that's why everyone wants to be a part of it. And the atmosphere is among the best atmospheres you get at a track all summer. And the people at Speedway 660, Dylan, firsthand, are phenomenal. A great group. The campground's always full, and they're really passionate about their racing, and they're really passionate about this race. And it all just comes together and puts on one hell of a show.
At Denver and Dylan, I don't know if you've heard this story or not, but it just gives you an idea how big this race is getting. There was a story about the boys calling down to Mooresville, North Carolina for parts. And the boys down there actually brought that up. He said, what's this Ricky Bobby race you guys have got down there? So you Canadians have got her together down there, right? So they had heard about this race clear down in North Carolina in the race country, right?
That's pretty impressive, especially for a street stock race. I'm sure the IWK 250s, people probably know about that, but the Ricky Bobby race, that just goes to show what this event has turned into, and it's only a fourth year for it.
Absolutely, yeah. I hope we have many, many more.
I'm sure there will be. I want to ask about the transition for this event, because the first couple of years it was in July, And then last year it moved to September, and that move to September really seemed to help it, grow and flourish even more heading into the fall of the year. And now, for many years, Speed Weekend was the finale at Speedway 660, but now, the fans in the Geary Woods get to cap off their season with the Ricky Bobby 150.
Just circumstances last year made us go to September, just because of the circumstances. And, wanted to do July, definitely wanted to do July, didn't want to do September. And after the way it went off last year, well, okay, let's try September again, because that was a heck of an event, right? So that's how it ended up in September. But it really was, it was just a fluke that it ended up there. But sometimes they work out.
I also want to ask, with the transition to 150 laps, 150 laps is a lot. We don't see anything else above 100 for street stocks. We barely even see 150s for the sportsman cars nowadays. So the lap count and making it so big, which helped to grow this event, what were you guys worried when you first said, let's do 150 laps, as to what the drivers might think or say, because they'd never done that in a street stock before?
We kicked it around for quite a while, and actually talked to a lot of drivers, and like I say, we hashed it around for quite a bit and talked to a lot of drivers. Oh no, don't do that. No, well, let's do 150 laps. We'll stop at the front stretch. Do your pit stops and blah blah blah. And well, and then a couple weeks later, around, I think that's a good idea. That would be fun. That would be our star moment, right? And so that was, to them, that's phenomenal for them to do that. So they're really excited about doing that. So I think that's what really made it go to the 150, was just for the fact that they get their halfway stop on the track and do their thing in front of the people. That's their shining moment, right?
Their Daytona 500.
They have a Daytona 500. So it was a big decision at first, but when we started talking about it at the end, I said, okay, we're going to try it and see what happens. Yeah, it's been awesome.
Absolutely. Now I want to ask both of you, the first 3 years of it have been phenomenal. What is your single favorite moment, if you can pick one from all of them, of the first 3 years of the Ricky Bobby 150?
I have to say myself is when I get these little kids involved and get them out on the track and to watch those kids. I've been around racing forever, did a lot of racing. I know when I was a kid, I guess that's what inspired me to bring these kids in the first place. I was that age at a racetrack, and if I had a chance to get over to that racetrack, then that made my summer if I get up the racetrack, get in the car, around the car. So I guess that's the highlight for me, is bringing these kids out on board, bringing them out on the track and meet the drivers. And it's pretty funny to see some of them. They'll start out to be shy as old heck, won't want to say a word or anything. And the first thing you know, now they're out there high-fiving drivers and this and that. It's pretty cool. So for me, that's a good part for me.
And that's my highlight too, is when you see the look on those kids' faces. And believe it or not, when those little kids in the face, every driver's got that same smile on their face, shaking the kids' hands, and it's so inspiring. I mean, their smiles on their faces. Those little kids are going to be at that racetrack until they're 50 or 60 years old too, as well, right? The little kids is what it's really.
The drivers all do such a good job with them, right? They all make sure they pay attention to them, right? They could ignore all of us, but they pay attention to those kids. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw it over, Tim. Are you still there? You got anything for on social media so far?
Social media is kind of quiet, but if you have a question for the boys from DMR, be sure to drop it down below. It's going to be a big weekend with the Ricky Bobby 150. And you guys have sponsored the Street Stock division for so many years at 660. I want to ask you about this championship, because we've had some different champions come in and represent not only Speedway 660, but the Street Stock division, and of course you guys at DMR Auto. Riley Goodwin cranks the car this week and he wins the championship. What do you think about that young kid? Because I know he's come a long way in a short period of time.
He's just a simple little wheelman. I say, to me, you watch somebody, you talk about rising stars a while ago. Yeah, to me, if you're a wheelman, you're a wheelman, and he is a wheelman. There's no doubt about it.
Once again, we are live and interactive, so drop a question or a comment. We've got a couple more minutes here with the boys from DMR before we move on to Mr. Dylan McMillan coming up here in about 10 minutes or so.
Dylan, you got anything for the boys from DMR Auto?
Yeah, I guess we'll maybe look forward to 2022. I mean, we got to get through the Ricky Bobby this weekend, but what are you expecting for this division going into next year where there's, the tire shortage has always been a hot topic, and that could be a hot topic for Saturday as well. Those Hoosier tires are not in full supply like they used to be. What do you think the drivers will have to do to conserve for 150 laps?
I would say they're probably going to have to play with control. A lot of old style racing, they're going to be swinging them around. They're just going to have to buy their time, right? They're going to have to control themselves, and
There's no new tires allowed to start the Ricky Bobby race. None. Everybody starts on old tires, and they have no new tires to put on.
So what's the term old tire? Like what are we saying? What does it have to be kind of old?
Some guys are saying really old because they're just not available, right? I think a couple of teams have bought new tires really early, and they were saving them for this race. And they asked a couple of weeks ago, well, what am I going to do? We have brand new tires. We're not going to run them. I said, if I was you, I'd be taking the petty and put some laps on between now and then. So, some of them's going to have some tires that's not too bad, but other guys have got tires that's really old.
So it's kind of like scuffing tires in NASCAR, where they got to be a little worn in, little gently used before we bring them out, right?
Right. We ran those Fuji tires on Sportsman cars years ago, and I know I had some old tires. It was a big race, and I thought, all right, I want to put these on, and we'll save the new ones for later on in the evening. And man, those old tires came in later big time. I was surprised. If you can get enough laps on them and bear with them, the first little while is going to be rough going, but they will come in.
And by the time the 150 gets going, I mean, the way it'll probably end under night lights with the lights gleaming at 660. But do you think going from day to night will really mess around these cars too with the worn out tires?
Yeah, I would think it's probably going to. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It's definitely going to be cooler too, right? In late September, early evening, that sun goes down. I would say the track come cool down, and it's going to get a little slippery.
It was getting pretty cold at Speed Weekend there on Sunday. On Saturday, I about froze to death sleeping in the tent there. Right, you almost had to like kind of thaw me out.
It was a little cool, absolutely. But last year we had, I think, a hotter day than we had at Speed Weekend for the Ricky Bobby race, and it ended up being a beautiful day and beautiful crowd. So boys, I want to give you one last pitch here. For any drivers who are on the fence of coming this weekend, for any fans who are wondering what they should do this weekend, why should they make their weekend plans to be at Speedway 660 for the Ricky Bobby 150?
It's going to be an exciting event. There's going to be all kinds of things happening. There's going to be some gifts for sponsors. There's going to be some stuff thrown out into the crowd. It should be the place to be. It's we're have a live band playing a couple hours before the race starts. So pre-race band, live band. It should be the place to be, I hope.
And it is the Ricky Bobby 150, and I think every street stock driver in the Maritimes wants to be able to say, I've driven in that Ricky Bobby 150.
Absolutely.
Now, and another, I would just take a moment and thank all the sponsors that are involved in this race, all the people that are involved in this race, including the kids, especially the drivers. If we didn't have those drivers out on the track, we wouldn't be watching a thing. So again, a big thank you to everybody involved in this Ricky Bobby race. We really, truly appreciate everything you guys put into it. And another big thank you to Kim McIntyre, who's been instrumental on that moving sponsorship and getting the laugh board sold. And she's really, really been a helpful girl. What'd you call her? The
Shine Girl. This is her nickname, the Shine Girl. She's done a heck of a job. It's
and a shout out to Steve Robinson from the Kitchen Helper. He's the guy that puts on the meal for the
turkey dinner.
The turkey dinner there and all that stuff, right? And Randall Sullivan, who's one of our buddies that helps out every year, whatever we need. Just thank you to everybody out there, including you fellas.
Tim enjoyed the turkey dinner, by the way. He loved it. Right, Tim?
Absolutely, I did. I'm going to miss out on that this weekend.
Oh, we got a roast beef dinner going on, Tim.
Oh, don't twist my rubber arm.
Mashed potatoes, carrot, the whole deal.
Dylan, do you want to do Scotia and I'll just go up to 660?
Hey man, I like that turkey dinner too. I kind of want roast beef.
I mean, have you seen the shape of me?
Aren't you the tour announcer? I'm just your color guy.
We can figure something out, right?
You just have to airmail something.
Yes.
Well, okay, here, how about this? Jesse's a little small. Jesse Thompson, he needs to grow a bit, so we'll give him our dinners.
Right.
We just have him hang around with us for a while. He'll grow.
Boys, this has been fun. Thank you guys for joining us. Looking forward to seeing what happens in that Ricky Bobby 150, and it's a great way to end off this season and end off the season on a high note. It's Speedway 660. Have fun this weekend, and we'll catch up after the show, I'm sure.
Sounds
Awesome.
good.
And
Thanks.
I'd like to thank you guys for what you fellows do for racing in Atlantic Canada. It's awesome. It's just awesome what you fellows do. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we thank you for being a part of the show and having us in on your race and your guys' show every single year. That's the boys from DMR Auto getting ready for the Ricky Bobby 150 coming up for the DMR Auto Street Stock Division. And boys, let's talk fantasy points. I'm no longer the leader. Denver, what's up with that?
As I said earlier in the show, thank you, Cole Butcher. We don't like to see anyone get wrecked, and I'm not saying I want anyone to get wrecked, but the circumstances worked out in my favor this week. Just like, there's been some races, Tim, where the circumstances maybe didn't work out in my favor at Speed Weekend.
Yeah, right. That wasn't the greatest. I've got some points to make up. So does Meredith. She's actually, I think, on the call now, potentially. The fans gained some points. Dylan went to victory lane again, second consecutively, right?
Woot.
Woot.
Look at that. Right. Dylan is closing the gap. He is now less than 100 points behind.
Yeah, that's scary.
2-time winner in a row, baby.
And Brandon's got some positions to make up. So we don't have the graphic done as of yet because the next event, the entry list just came out today for the Atlantic Oliver Tire 200. So Denver, even before the entry list came out, you already had your picks done. So who do you have?
For Scotia?
For Scotia.
Oh, I know exactly who I picked. I picked the driver who has won everything there is to win the last couple of weeks, and the driver that is going to win the championship potentially if he can get me. See, we got to take the points leaders and we got to work together here. So I'm picking Craig Slonway. I'm leading the points. He's leading the points. If we work together here, we should be able to pull off 2 championships. So that's the plan. So Craig, if you're watching, no pressure, but there's 2 championships on the line here.
You're so funny.
Not at all. Right? Wait, Meredith, are you with us?
Yes.
Okay, so who do you have for this weekend?
Nick Noggle.
Okay, and why do you have the 08 car?
He's 4th in points. He can still win. He's got a lot of making up to do, but if he goes back to back and say Cole and Craig don't do well, I'm set.
See, she actually brings up a good point. Brandon has Cole Butcher. Dylan, you and I haven't made picks yet, so I don't know who you want to go with. I'm sure you can think about that for a little while.
You go first. I'll be a gentleman.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna reserve mine because there's some really obviously the low hanging fruit of the entry list. There's a couple there that seem to be the easy call. But Corey Hall's going to be good. You've got John Fleming's back. Donald Chisholm's going to be there. It's really Jared Butcher, certain points. You got some really, really good drivers here that are going to be good. But I don't know. It's going to be hard to pick just one. You what?
I'll do my pick here. I'm going to do a bold prediction. You want to hear it?
Sure.
Jared Butcher's winning his first pro stock race this weekend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like that.
He was strong. He you know what? If Mother Nature showed up at Petty, and it was almost looking like it was going to, he could have been the Mike Stevens Memorial champion, but he was very strong nonetheless. And he's been strong on the tour. He is going to get his first win this weekend. Another Butcher going to victory lane. That's my pick.
You know what? I'm going to have to go to the Maritime Pro Stock Tour website because I've been in the air all day or most of the day. So I haven't been able to really take a look at this entry list, but I'm going to go over here, take a look at this. I don't know who I'm going to pick. Can I double up with somebody? we allowed to do that?
Can't pick the same as who Denver is picking.
Okay. We'll figure that out later then.
That's a fair statement.
Go to Brad Manroot. Pick Dylan Blenkhorn.
He's not on the entry list. Oh yeah, he is. There, late entry. Yeah, let's do that. We'll go with Dylan Blenkhorn. He wasn't on my initial entry list, but yeah, I guess he is there now. So we'll go with that's easy. That's Dylan Blenkhorn. So we'll go with that. Boys, our next guest is the driver of the 92 East Coast Mini Stock Tour car that is debuting this weekend, and the driver of the 192 in the Torsec Lightning Division. Dylan McMillan is joining us, and boys, take it away.
All right, Dill, you got a copy here?
Yeah.
Dylan, before we dive into what you're doing this weekend, we got you. If you can hear us, we'll ask you first, who's your pick coming up for the big pro stock race this weekend?
Oh, I'm definitely going to have to hop on with Dylan.
So he's Timmy. He's doubling up with you here. He's Dylan's doubling up with Dylan here for Dylan Blenkhorn.
Smart lad.
Yeah. Are we coming in loud and clear for you, Dill?
Yeah.
Perfect. Buddy, you've been having an incredible year in the Lightning division at Scotia Speedworld. You're a rookie, but you're driving like you've been in behind the wheel of that number 192 for quite a while. I mean, chip off the old block, the old man Mark McMillan, right? How has the year been for you so far in the Lightning division?
Well, I mean, it's been better than what we thought it was going to be. The car sat since 2018, and me and Dad thought about it over the winter, bringing it back out from retirement. So we started building it, and we didn't think we'd have anything to compete with the boys up front, but we turned our luck at the start of the year when we had old tires on it from like 2015, and we went out. Lori Hupp bought us 4 brand new tires, and we went out. We've been running ever since, and I can't believe it. I don't know. It's been unreal.
You've had a couple of close calls with winning. One, I remember I was watching the TCM TV feed. You had the 133 Tyler Hallahan, Jamie Dillman, they're going at it. Then the 192 shows up out of nowhere, almost makes it 3 wide down the backstretch, and you were like a lap and a half away from winning, but you've got a few podiums under your belt, and even that alone has just got to feel like a win, right? Just you're a rookie in this division. You're so good so far.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like I said, it's unreal. I can't believe it, but no, it's not been, it hasn't been a bad year to my first rookie season in the Lightning division. And I plan to pick up the rookie of the year. It's what my goal was since the start. So we'll see what we can do. But I think I'm about 28 points back from the 147. So we're trying to catch him. And we'll see what we can do for the last 2.
So you and the family, you've been doing racing for a long time. You did Bandolero racing, and usually with Bandoleros, it goes Bandos Legends, but you went Bandos Minis this time. I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you not dabble in maybe a Legend coming up soon, or am I getting drivers mixed up? But either way, you went to mini stock racing. Why that difference?
Well, we had a Legend from Danny Harvey and Cy Harvey. We had picked one up. And then we had a deal with Mark Williams, and I decided it just would be better for us, where we know 4 cylinders better, and Legends we're not familiar with at all. So we took the deal on that, and we're sticking to mini stock. But yeah, I don't know. Hondas seem pretty fun. I got behind the wheel of Lori Hutt's Honda, and it was a blast.
What are the big differences going from a Bando to a Honda? I mean, it's they're very different cars, right?
Oh, and incredibly different. The front wheel drive from the rear wheel drive is just, it's different. I got loose in practice, and I didn't even know how to save it at first, but it's definitely different. I'm enjoying it. I'm learning every week. So that's the main thing.
So you got a big race coming up Friday to try and get some points in the competition, help you with Rookie of the Year. And then I'm scrolling through Facebook, and all I see is Daddy McMillan posting about a number 92 Honda Civic. What's the story in this car, and who's the car from?
Mark Williams. Yeah, we traded the Legend for them for 2 Hondas, actually. We have one for Scotia and one for the Tour. That's the plan anyway. But we figured we'd come out for one race this season and figure out, see what we can do, and just play around with it. I'm sure the boys will school me, but we'll learn. We'll learn as we go.
Now, you've raced around with some of the guys, with Lightning and Thunder being combined. So you've raced side by side with Dave Matthews, Jesse DeVoe, and Cody Byrne. But now you're going to be on equal playing field with the Honda. And we've got guys like Ryan McKnight in that Toyota Celica, who's coming from New Brunswick. Matt Watson from the island in a Honda. He's always strong. This has got to be one of your biggest races of your young career coming up with this 40-lap feature for the Mini Stock Tour.
Oh, it's definitely by far the biggest race I've ever gone to for myself. I mean, other than going to Miramichi for that one time there, back, what was it, last year? Went up there for the 50 with the Bando and sadly blew up. But no, this will definitely be my biggest race of my career, and I'm excited. We throw the Honda together and go out there and play with the boys and see what we can do.
So what are your expectations for this race? There's a point battle going on between Dave, Cody, and Jesse DeVoe. But kind of like we were talking with Craig McDonald, you're not just showing up to Scotia for no reason. If you can get up front and be in position to win, you're going to be up there, right?
Oh, correct. Yeah, definitely. I mean, if we have the car to do it, we'll be there. I mean, I'll stay out of the way because I know they're running for points. But if I'm there, I'm there. I'm pretty clean. I don't like to bump anyone at all. I mean, I stay out of the way as much as I can, but I understand they're running for points, but I'm just coming out to play.
So for maybe someone who doesn't know a ton of differences between cars, at Scotia Speedworld, there's Lightning and Thunder. Lightning is like your Dodge Neons. Thunder is your Honda Civics. For you, you're going to race the Lightning, the Neon Friday, Civic on Saturday. What big changes are you going to notice behind the wheel in that car that maybe someone may not completely know? It's not just getting behind the wheel. There's, different mechanics with the cars, right?
Well, I mean, definitely power difference is going to be a big thing, I feel like. I mean, I've only been behind the wheel of a Civic once, and I immediately understood how much more power they have than the Neons. There's so much more pull coming up the corners, and they grip so much more better. But yeah.
We're here with Dylan McMillan, who's pulling double duty this weekend with the Car Star Weekly Racing Series in the Lightning Division and with the Passion Flooring and Interiors East Coast Mini Stock Tour big race coming up. Sponsorship available, by the way, for the main race. Denver, you're going to be there on Saturday, I believe, and you're going to check out this guy's debut in the Honda. Got any questions for Dylan?
Well, Dylan, I think I'm going to be there Friday and Saturday, which is
go.
Exciting. Dylan, first of all, I must say I did get to one race at Scotia so far this year, and I've watched a couple on Tim's Corner TV, and you have really impressed this year. I've been impressed seeing you run up front each and every week, and that really must be building confidence with every good run that you've been having so far.
Oh, for sure. I mean, this is probably my biggest following of my whole career, really. I mean, I've never had people stick with us this long, cheering for us every week, and no, it's been a blast. I just can't wait to finish it off and race the East Coast Mini Stock Tour this Saturday.
And I'm sure there'll be even more fans. And the East Coast Mini Stock Tour race, it's a big day. It's the 200 for the East Coast International Pro Stock Tour, and there's going to be a lot of fans there. It's going to be an exciting day. So that's, I'm sure, going to help build your following even more. But I want to talk a little more about your Bando days. You had mentioned your trip up to Miramichi, which unfortunately, the engine failure and whatnot, you didn't get to run the actual race itself. But talk us through your Bando career and how you got your start.
No, okay, yeah. I was asking mom and dad for forever, I swear, for a Bando. I just always watched them, thought they were really cool. I seen Colton and all them, and Sam running them, Josh Langell, and anyway, Ashton Tucker's car came up for sale, and I just kept looking at it all the time, and I couldn't get my eyes off it, and talked to mom and dad into it, and they bought me it for Christmas. And my first year, I finished 4th in points. I don't believe I had any podiums that year. Second year, me and Brooke Dow battled hard the whole year. with a bunch of podium finishes, seconds, thirds. No first yet, sadly, but now I finished second in the point standings in my second beginner year, and then I believe my third and fourth year I finished 8th overall in points in the outlaw division. And then we picked up the legend car because Emma needed a ride, so she was gonna take over the bando. But we decided probably better for me to hop in the mini stock.
So, you're chasing those wins and chasing the points too. Your rookie year, obviously, rookie of the year is always on driver's mind, but looking ahead 2022 goals, ambitions, where do you see yourself next year? What do you want to accomplish next year in your sophomore season in the mini stocks?
I'm definitely going for, well, I like to get a checkered flag this year. If not, we're going to follow that into next year. I mean, we're been so close. I'm sitting on 2 second place podiums right now, so there's no reason I can't go snag a win. But no, I'm looking forward to it.
What's that first win going to mean to you when it comes? And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. When it happens, what's that win going to mean to you?
It's going to be incredible. I'm gonna be speechless. I know I am. I mean, I'm going to be lost for words. It's been a dream I wanted to do for a while, get a feature win, and it's yet to come, but it's coming. I see it in the near future.
Absolutely, it will be coming. Before I throw it back over to Dylan, another question I have for you. I know you did a little bit of traveling in the bandos looking up to Miramichi. Are we going to see you do any traveling with the mini stocks? You have the Honda now with the mini stock tour. Are we going to get to see Dylan McMillan running around the Maritimes at some different tracks?
Next year, for sure, we'd like to do some traveling. I'd like to go to maybe PEI and Riverside, and maybe I'd like to take a trip up to Miramichi, rather. That's in the Neon or whatever, but I'd like to take a trip up there. It's a very fun track. I love it, to be honest. And no, I'd like to try Petty again also.
Well, we'll chuck it over to Tim here for a moment. I know social media is a little quiet, but Tim, you've been announcing the McMillans for a long time here, and I know you find it very special to see what Dylan's doing, and now he's kind of moving up again. He's moving up divisions all the time, and now he's moving up just a little bit now to the tour with the mini stocks.
Yeah, absolutely. You think back to that 2012, 2013 championship that Mark had in that Lightning division, and then seeing the whole family be involved in this sport. Dylan, what does it mean to have the whole family involved, from the drivers that have been there to Tina holding the camera, and cheering you guys on? What does it mean to have the whole family there on a Friday night?
Oh, it's amazing, and I'm glad to see my sisters get in the cars too. They're learning as we go also, and but no, I appreciate it. My cousins are there every week. My friends are there every week also, cheering me on, and I love it. The whole family's there all the time. It's great.
So obviously your father hasn't had a whole lot of trophies here in the last couple of seasons. You picked up 2 in the last few weeks. Any ribbing on that? Because I know he's still got the itch to come back and race, but I know not as much as it was before. So any sort of ribbon to him?
Oh, I like to rub it in every once in a while, make him a little bit jealous, but no, he wants to hop back in it. He's yet to drive the car since 2018. I think was the last time he was in the car, and he's yet to drive it since. He was going to hop in it.
So what you're saying, he's a little rusty?
Oh yeah, he's a little rusty.
You know what we have to get done here? We have to have you drive the Honda, Dad drives the 192, and then the sister drives the other one, so we can have a father-daughter-son race.
Yeah, that'd be something else.
Mom will be freaking out.
No, she would be. Yeah, she definitely would be.
Once again, social's a little bit quiet. Put in your questions, put in your comments, and we'll get them to Dylan. Fred Bannister wants to know biggest win of your career, and I know the biggest one's going to be the next one, because that's what every race car driver is gonna mention. But biggest win or biggest highlight of your career so far?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Probably on the night of my aunt's. Oh my goodness. Let me try and think here. When she passed away, it was her anniversary of that, and Canada Day, and I finished third place, and it was for her. So that's probably definitely my biggest accomplishment.
And there's still some more wins, I'm sure, to come with the way the speed of the 192 is had this season with only 2 races to go. I'm sure we're going to get a checkered flag before this one is all said and done. We got about 5 minutes or so left in the show with Dylan. So drop your questions, drop your comments now, and we'll get them to you. Boys, take it away.
Dylan, one thing as well that I've noticed this season is the respect you're getting from a lot of drivers. You got some of the best that's racing, but that race I was mentioning where you almost got the win from Jamie and Tyler, I think that was the race that there's always something in one race in particular which will always get the respect from other people. Do you think that was the one race where people said, okay, this isn't just another kid behind the wheel of a mini stock? He almost stole that race from Jamie Dillman, who's arguably the best of the best in the Lightning division. Would you say?
I would definitely say that was definitely it. That's when people realized. But yeah.
And what do you got to say to that? Where you're seeing comments saying, "Wow, Dylan, like you're the real deal." I mean, that's just gotta kind of put.
It's buffering.
Did we lose Dylan Langell?
I think so.
He's frozen.
Uh-oh. Tim, are you still there? We lost Tim and we lost Dylan.
No, you didn't. I'm back.
Okay, we got Dylan back.
Damn girlfriend watching too much Netflix. What? Sorry.
I almost had to take over.
Sorry about that, folks. Yeah, just a little internet blip there. But as I was saying, but Dill, like to just get the respect of the fans, drivers, and crew members just walking around the pits and seeing your performance, it's just gotta put a little extra in your step, and every time you get behind the wheel, make you feel a bit better, right?
Definitely. Gaining respect is my main thing with everyone. Making sure they know I'm clean, and they know I apologize to everyone when I rub them or whatever. It doesn't matter. I go over to them and I apologize every week. I've got into a few drivers and they've taken it pretty easy, but no, I appreciate it how respectfully everyone is.
Going into Friday night, who would you say is the toughest competitor in that Lightning division? We've got great guys like Jamie Dillman, Travis Keefe whenever he gets behind the 145. Mike Umlaw has been really good as well. Don't forget about Stephen Matthews, who's got a couple of wins. His cousin Colin Matthews. Out of that stout field, who's the one guy you really got to keep your eye on every weekend?
Probably Colin from the 147 for sure. I mean, me and him are looking in points together for the Rookie of the Year, so that's my main concern for the season anyway, out of drivers. But no, Jamie's competitive. Travis is competitive. I mean, they're all really close, but yeah. And Tyler's right there every week too.
Yeah, and with all those guys and girls racing, it's going to be a big old race coming up on Friday. Before we let you go, too, I just want to ask you as well, you've been helping out Laurie Hutt as he's been helping out you with his number 35 hot rod. How cool is that to help out Laurie with his old 1979 Monte Carlo?
Oh, that's amazing. I mean, it's something new for me and Dad to learn. It's something we've never done before, worked on a car like that, and it's incredible, and I appreciate it. Everything he's done for us. He's hauled our car down to the track every week in, week out, and I can't thank him enough. But
when's he going to let you drive that car?
I've been itching it to him. I've been itching it. He hasn't fully let me yet. I'm trying to still ease it into him a little bit, but I'm working on it.
Laurie, I'm sure he'll hear this. Let's put a bet out. If Dylan wins the race on Friday, he needs to take the number 35 for a spin.
I think that should be a deal.
Dill, we always know these drivers, and yourself included, you don't do it alone. You've got sponsors, but more importantly, you've got family behind you who helps you out and all your success you've had this year.
I got to thank Mom, Dad, Lori, Conway Customs, Buffers Brokers, Shoreline Plumbing and Heating, my sisters, Alpine Auto Glass, Jake's Pizza, Mike's Barber, and Gary Elliott.
Big line of supporters, and you're going to need them all this weekend. Dylan pulling double duty, CarStar Weekly Racing, and then Passion Flooring and Interiors East Coast Mini Stock Tour Racing. Dill, I'm sure you got a lot of work in the garage on both cars. Good luck this weekend in the 192 and the 92 Honda.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Dylan McMillan, you'll see him twice here. It's so nice we get him twice this weekend. He's going to be racing Friday night, CarStar Weekly Racing in the Lightning Division, and then Saturday with the Passion Flooring and Interiors East Coast Mini Stock Tour making his debut. And Tim, it's great to see young drivers making their debut in the tour. Going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great to see, and we're going to see a lot of great racing this weekend, beginning with the Friday, September 24th show with the CarStar Weekly Racing Series, and then coming up on Saturday with the Atlantic Oliver Tire 200. It's going to be a fun weekend, and looking forward to seeing all this racing. And if you can't be at the racetrack, be sure to watch live on Tim's Corner TV. That hour and 52 minutes or so flew by, boys. This has been fun. Looking forward to this weekend. The gang's all back together at Scotia Speedworld. I'm excited for this.
Yes, I always like it when Denver comes to Nova Scotia. I went to New Brunswick last week, and now you're coming down. Meredith's going to be here. I think Brandon Campbell, even though we kind of made him persona non grata with the...
Did Tim report him to the Nova Scotia Border Patrol or something?
No, he told me earlier he wasn't coming. So I'm
Okay.
hoping that changes, but he said he was not coming to Scotia Speedworld this weekend as of before we kicked him from the call. So
Brandon
probably doesn't help. But anyways, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of familiar faces down on Friday and Saturday at Scotia Speedworld to really get this thing underway. And then we go with doubleheader weekend and the weekend after as well, with the Cummins 150 Open Sportsman race, Open Legends race on the Saturday, and then the CarStar Weekly Racing Series TCM finale Friday, coming up for the CarStar Weekly Racing Series on Friday, October 1. So 2 major weekends to close off the season at Scotia Speedworld. Want to thank all of our marketing partners that help put on everything that we do here at Tim's Corner Motorsports and Tim's Corner TV. And there's a few that we are missing on there because it's been a very busy season. So, boys, looking forward to Friday. That's going to do it for us here this evening. Get out and support your track, whether it's Speedway 660 for the Ricky Bobby 150 presented by DMR Auto, Scotia Speedworld for their doubleheader weekend, Valley Raceway on Sunday. List goes on and on. Get out, support your local short track because there's only a month or so left in this season. On behalf of everybody here this evening, thank you to our guests. My name is Tim Terry. We will see you on Friday night when we say let's go racing from Scotia Speedworld. Until then, keep the hammer down and we'll see you at the track.